authenticity is everything, right? So we have to tell the truth. We have to be authentic to the culture. We have to do all those things. That's an integral, assumed part of our jobs.
As an artist, as a craftsperson, as a storyteller, my name goes on it. And when my name goes on something, I want it to mean something. And what that means is the work. I did everything I can to tell the best story. Hi, I'm Shola Lynch.
Hi, I'm Reginald Hudlin.
And we are the directors of
Number one on the call sheet.
Black Leading Women in Hollywood.
Black Leading Men in Hollywood.
On
AppleTV Plus.
March 28th.
I think we should start with our origin story.
Which origin story?
Right. Well, first, it was word on the street was Shola Lynch is this amazing young filmmaker, and she made this great movie about Shirley Chisholm. Oh, she made this great movie about Angela Davis, and everyone's just a fan, right? And by then, I had moved from New York. I'm living in LA, but like word on the street had reached LA, right? And you had met my brother Warrington, and like everyone's just raving, like, oh, she's so great, da 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 da. So that's a wonderful thing. Then I get chosen by the Academy to produce the Governor's Awards. And the Governor Awards is kind of a big deal. It's where they give the honorary Oscars. And when you get chosen to receive an honorary Oscar, there's a short film, a documentary that gets made about you. So as the producer of the Governor's Awards, I get a list of filmmakers they worked with before that they really like, and I look at the list, and there are no black people on the list. But we were honoring Harry Belafonte, which happened because I had been quietly campaigning for Harry to get an honorary Oscar because he had got an Emmy, a Grammy, and a Tony, so he was one away from an EGOT, and that could not stand. He had to get the EGOT, so I called some friends who had been politicking, and it got done, right? So victory one. Now victory two, here I am producing the show, and like, well, there's no black people on this list, which is crazy, period, and especially crazy given Harry Belafonte and his career of activism. That's not going to do. So I call the legendary Shola Lynch, and I'm like, Shola, I need to talk to you about something. Oh, I happen to be in LA. Great. So I go by the hotel.
This is where I pick it up. So he calls me up. He's like, oh, great, you're in LA. Let's meet. So we meet, and I was here for the International Documentary Association event, et cetera. So we're sitting probably in the W in Hollywood, and I'm like, ooh, a Hollywood meeting. And, he orders a something, I order a something, and Reggie's, being Reggie. And he says, and here's somebody I know and trust. So, he says, I'm gonna ask you to do something, and you're pretty much gonna have to say yes. And not only that, you're gonna have to kill it. And then he explains what he just explained about the Governor's Awards. And he says, I can either bring people along, or I can go with the list. So are you gonna do it, and are you gonna kill it? I said, yes. I did hesitate.
You did? Wait, you are so skipping the key part of the story.
Okay, what?
Okay, so I say all that.
And then he asks me which of the four people are being honored at the Governor's Awards. And I can't remember who they were, and he gets to Harry Belafonte. And I go, Harry Belafonte?
Right. Okay, the part you're skipping is you're like, well, Reggie, this sounds great, but I'm really busy right now.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Of course you forgot about that. You erased that. So she's like, I'm really busy right now. I just don't think I can fit it in. And I'm staring at you with laser beams, right?
Yes.
And you're feeling the heat of the laser beam. And then you go, wait, you're not giving me a choice.
It's not a do-over event. It occurred to me, and I was like, Reggie, yes. But he wasn't going to let me say no.
No, there was no.
Which I appreciate.
Right, because
I will always appreciate that.
This is the life-changing moment.
Yes.
And I get it.
Yeah.
We all are juggling a lot of things,
Yeah.
but this is not a no. This is like, here is your quest. Get her done.
And one of the things is it's a small budget. It's for it's an awards video, but we had the idea. We wanted to elevate it to a short film and to honor Harry Belafonte. And it was so exciting to do and to be able to go, bam, literally with the first shot, and the room went, and it played, and it was such a good night.
But here's what happens before that, right?
Okay.
So, sure enough, she's killing it. She's killing it. She's putting together this amazing short film. Exactly why I knew she was the one, and she's doing the damn thing. It's all good, right? And again, I'm sort of the producer, so I'm just the buffer between her doing her thing and the Academy. And I'm getting these weird notes, right, about
so many notes.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening right now? And they finally admit, we think we won the civil rights battle, but the civil rights battle was still going on. And there were people within the Academy who were like, why are we giving this award to Harry Belafonte? And why are you bringing up this political stuff? And it's like, because that's why we're giving it to him, because he's the man and he changed things for the better. And I'm like, oh my God, the fight continues. And just to tell the truth about him became this fight. So my job was to block and tackle all the bull so she could do her damn thing, which she did, and there was no compromise, and she rocked the room, and it was a thing of beauty.
And Harry Belafonte was happy.
Yes.
Sidney Poitier gave me a hug.
Right. Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier are there, right?
Yes.
Because Harry's only condition to accepting the award was Sidney had to give it to him.
Okay.
And I've given a lot of awards to Harry Belafonte.
Yeah.
I've given it to him at BET. I gave it to him at the NAACP Image Awards. I gave it to him at the Image Awards because the least we can do is honor the titans that made it possible for us to do any damn thing.
And the moral of the story, though, is sometimes you have to take a chance to bring somebody along.
Yes, and you have to, A, reach out and empower people who deserve to be empowered. Number two, understand that wars are never over. And their generation fought, which is why we're honoring them. And guess what? It's our turn to fight now. And you better get your knuckle game up.
And before you think this has nothing to do with being number one on the call sheet, it has everything to do with being number one on the call sheet.
Right.
Right? You got to bring people along. You got to honor the past. You got to be aware of the present, but not so mired in the negativity. Yes, there's some terrible shit going on always, etc. But if you focus on that, you're never finding the way forward. And what I love about the films we made, this story, right? And thanks for tapping me for this one. The guys were sitting around, I'm sure, I imagine it, smoking cigars. Him, Jamie, Datari, Kevin Hart going, yeah, man, we're amazing. Yeah, we're so great. We do so much. Wouldn't that be a fantastic documentary? Fantastic, fantastic. You know what I mean? And then maybe we should do one about the women too. Who's gonna do that? At least they knew that, I'm sorry, Reggie. At least they knew to hire somebody, a woman to do it.
Yes. No, part of these movies are documenting Black film history.
Period.
Right? And look, we're in this amazing period of Black girl magic, which is great.
Yes.
The world is full of unintended consequences. So now, with all this wonderful Black girl magic, we now have to lift up men, right? And that doesn't mean you don't lift up women. It means you lift up everyone.
Yes.
Right? And we both have a son and a daughter, right? Both of us, at least half our time is talking about parenting, right? And like tricks, like what you do with that? How'd you handle that?
He's not kidding.
So, and which makes our work, our day job, even more supercharged, right? Because we both come from political households. We both came in it with a sense of mission.
Yes, and we also have to say we both came in with fantastic partners. Like
Yes.
personal partnership is just as important as the work partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you're actually doing the real work of raising the next generation, right? And you go, okay, there's a bunch of theories that we all have, but how are we actually going to do this? How do we raise children in today's world? And what did we get from our parents that is relevant, and what do we get from our parents, which is baggage?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the real work. And part of it is when you make movies like this, I mean, for me, you tell me, I'm always thinking about my kids, because I'm like, you need to know this, but how do I get you to watch it?
You know, someone last night at the premiere was saying, oh my gosh, this is a Roots moment. And I was like, oh, because if it is a cultural moment and enough people watch it, it becomes part of a cultural conversation. Whether you agree with our choices or not, it's the conversation that we're interested in. And no one will be able to interview this group of leading men and the group of leading women that I talk to ever again. It's like, imagine if we had had that for the 70s.
Yes.
Right? Imagine if we had that even in the 90s.
Yes.
Right? And so here we have this chance, and it is a piece of history. It's a capsule. And what's incredible about it is because of all the foremothers and fathers, because of the Sydneys and the Hatties and everybody, this generation is killing it. They are actually number one on the call sheet. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Not like number one on the call sheet in my own mind over here, et cetera. You know what I mean? They're like killing it. And what I didn't realize is we think we know these people because we see them on the red carpet, this, that, and the other thing. But when you sit, I was literally blown away each time by how much I learned from each woman, and wanted the film to recreate that for the audience. Like, so I hope the curiosity and the wonder and, you know, the grief and sadness, yes, but also the fire and the love of craft all come through.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what struck me. I'm like, wow, everybody is really smart.
But wait a second, you know most of these guys.
Yes.
So I really wanted to ask you what you learned.
I still learn so much. And you're right, I knew the vast majority of them I had a relationship with. And it was great because even though we have a relationship, we may have worked together or we may have socialized together, we're all working, so we don't get to hang, right?
Right.
So we're talking, and because we're not talking about a specific project, right? They're not having to hype something. I'm not trying to sell them an idea. We're just talking about life, right? So when I ask them questions that normally ask, which is like, well, did you have a plan? And half of them did, half of them did not. You know, how do you even define success? And the definitions of success were all over the place, right? Because, I mean, when Fishburne says, what is about the diversity of roles? You go, oh, okay, that's a measurement. And I relate to that because I'm always like, wow, I've made a movie and a TV show and a comic book, and I did a live concert. And I go, well, no one else cares that I did all those things, but I care, right? So we all have our own measurements. That's true. Then there are folks who are just like extraordinary businessmen. They're moguls, and they are smart. And you just go, God, they are incredible, right? And all these people, no matter what their path, they're all at number one. It's bananas.
It's bananas. It really is bananas. And, you know, for the women, they wanted to talk about their love and craft and how they've gotten to #1, but they also wanted to talk about pay inequity.
Yes. Right.
Real.
Right.
You know, they wanted to talk about the kind of behind the scenes struggles over things that we take for granted, like hair and makeup. Having somebody who can do black hair and, you know what I mean, dress a certain kind of body. But also, they all just want to work and be seen. And I think that's what translates, I think, for a wider audience, is who is not #1 on their own call sheet. I don't mean diva style, but I mean like, this is my life, this is what I want out of it, these are the people I want in my circle, you know? And to hear these stories from these 17 women who have figured it out for themselves and are still figuring it out, because, you know, one of the lines I love in the men's film is, what do you do when you get to the top of a mountain? Make more mountain.
Right.
You got to keep going. You can't stop dreaming, you know?
Right. And it's interesting because part of the challenge for these actors, right, is you're making movies that fit the era that you're living in.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, when you look at the movies of the 70s, some of them were written by great playwrights, right?
Yeah.
And you just go, hey, I mean, we have a few great playwrights, but we don't have what we had in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Right? And is that what people want to see? Or do they like, no, I really want to see a big popcorn movie. And believe me, I love popcorn movies, so I'm not knocking it, but you know, so,
yeah.
And I think about that in particular when it comes to women, right? Because, you know, women getting the nuanced, detailed characters that they deserve, right? Like when you see Denzel and Viola in Fences, right? You go, thank God this movie exists, right? And a lot of critics talked about Viola did to Denzel what Denzel does to actors in other movies. Like, but the thing is, well, but Denzel directed, so he was like,
okay,
please, Viola, do the thing, because I know who you are. And she got to do the thing, and that was transformative for her career.
Yes. One thing I think we need to do, though, is shout out, you know, like, the directors get all the gloss, but we don't make these films alone.
Oh, God, no.
There's like, the credits are meaningful. And, you know, for us, we wouldn't have gotten half of the women didn't sit down to speak to Shola Lynch. You know, maybe one day, but not today. That's okay. So it is, you know, the work that you did, but Datari Turner, right, with Foxhole, who had all those relationships too. You guys, like, come on.
Well, I mean, first of all, it was Datari's idea to do this thing, right? So that was incredible. And then he is, you know, and partnered with Jamie, who was like, yeah, let's do that. And then them going to Kevin Hart, and Kevin goes, yeah, let's do that. So already that teamwork between the three of them is extraordinary and wonderful, right? And then they're like, okay, let's call Reggie, you know, because Jamie and I had worked together on a bunch of projects before, and, you know, Jamie and I have a very comfortable work, and he was like, well, yeah, Reggie, and then it was like, yes, Shola. So suddenly all the pieces are coming together, and then we put together our respective producers and our respective DPs, and I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's like, no, it really is a giant army effort.
Yes.
And we're so grateful to every member of the team, because it's like,
it does not happen alone.
No. And it's a, you know, documentary, so it's documentary money, right? So you're definitely working another job.
You know.
Yes.
West Indian background, more jobs.
Right.
10 jobs, man.
Right, exactly. So everybody's got 10 jobs.
Yes.
Particularly at this point in our industry, which is an incredible inflection point. Yes. So all those things.
It's true.
I mean, I have a company I use when I cast documentaries, Cultivated, which is really fantastic. But a lot of it came down to personal relationships. It was, you know, me either calling the person, or Datari calling the person, calling their agent, calling their publicist. It was a lot of that. And again, that's where Chrisette came in handy, because she was a publicist. So she had relationships with other publicists.
Yes. So we came in, we thought we could schedule all the interviews in 2 weeks, 2 a day, bam, 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 bam. And boy, oh boy, these are working people. It was not easy to get the schedules aligned or even to schedule the interviews. So I have to shout out the 17 women that came, sat in the chair.
Amen to that.
Really.
For real.
For real. When you have a brand and you're number one on the call sheet, the implications are even greater. And I think it took a lot longer to reach the right people and build the trust. And I'm grateful to all of you with the personal relationships to make it happen.
Yeah.
I knew I could kill it once it happened.
But it was a lot because, again, they are extraordinarily busy people. They're incredibly successful people.
Yes.
And this is not their movie, right? And what are you up to, right? And my thing is always like, this is not 60 Minutes. I'm not here. I'm not digging for scandal. I'm just want to have an honest conversation. And they were like, oh, this is that thing. And eventually kind of the word starts to get out. Like,
because they all talk.
Yeah. They're like, what is this thing? Oh, no, they're cool, you know? So it takes time.
And then, for the women, what we were thinking about is a lot, sometimes you go and the lighting isn't right and whatever. So we brought in Bradford Young. I worked with my producers, Mishka and Nanette, and we got Bradford Young to come in and design the lighting. So there was beauty light, 2 cameras. And because they didn't know me, they weren't gonna let me in their house. Reggie, different story. But I wanted to create the set that was the backdrop for an intimate conversation. And never in my life have I gone so pastel. I was like, it's like a box of chocolates. You open the box, and each one is so beautiful, from the white chocolate to the dark chocolate. And then each one is so different inside. And so I say all of this, and I also, my feminist theory classes, I don't mean to compare anybody to an object, et cetera. I mean this in a metaphorical, beautiful way.
But that's a really good point, which is that to me, when I started seeing what you were doing, I was like, oh, that's super cool. And it's very different from what we're doing. And that's beautiful because she's a woman making a movie about women with women. And, I'm a guy, making a movie about guys with a bunch of guys. And the movies reflect each thing.
All the guys are center shot and they're all like, yeah, 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 yeah. It was so much fun to watch. The women, each one is on the side, we're literally giving them their flowers. There's the beauty light, there's the second camera. It's just different. And the way we cultivated the personality of each story and honored, which is different than marketing bullshit, but honored in a true, real way each individual story, so that through our conversations, the audience can get to know a little bit about each person.
Yeah, because, with all these people, I'm fans of them.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, I'm a fan,
yes.
And I'm a fan who gets to ask questions. And then there's people who no, I really know you. And I want to bring out the things I know about you that people don't know. And when they find out, they're going to be like, oh, like I love the beat when Eddie Murphy goes, look, what keeps me from making going off the deep end mistakes is I'm spiritually grounded. And people are going to be like, what? Right, but it's he's telling you yo, this is what's really going on.
Yeah.
You may not get it, but I'm telling you right now, you can accept it or not. And that's what you get in this movie.
Yes, those moments. And we ask the questions that sometimes people outside of that won't ask.
Yes. Every story I tell, and a lot of them, whether it's a documentary or a scripted movie, I have a feeling of well, don't waste everyone's time and money, right? Authenticity is everything, right? So we have to tell the truth. We have to be authentic to the culture. We have to do all those things. That's an integral, assumed part of our jobs.
1,000%. I'm even a little bit more baseline. As an artist, as a craftsperson, as a storyteller, my name goes on it. And when my name goes on something, I want it to mean something. And what that means is the work. I did everything I can to tell the best story, the best narrative, the truth, the best story possible with whatever the budget was, whatever the constraints were. I was gonna go 110%. That's what a film by Shola Lynch means.